Right.
Okay, now this is pre-1980 cases.
Yeah, this is a 1977 Woodbridge base, and I got information from when I had my stroke, and I was came back from Addenbrooke's Hospital, and I came back to back to Ipswich Hospital for another 2 more weeks. On this ward was a gentleman opposite me, and we got friendly and talking, and I said, I'm always interested in the UFOs down at Rendlesham. He said, oh, we were chasing UFOs. I said, I mean chasing UFOs? We were camping in the forest, he said, down at Rendlesham. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, we're camping in during the summertime. He said, we were camping in the woods at the end of in the woods. He said, not far from the end of the runway. And he said, this is, I think, in a sort of like night time, but we were camping and getting things off the fields. And he said, we could see these triangular crafts hovering in the trees. So we chased after them. And he said, we were about seven boys, he said, and his name was Philip. And Philip said, he told me, he said, we chased them, and he said, we were watching them through the trees and just stood and watched them hovering. And they said there were 6 craft hovering together below treetop level at the end of the runway in trees. And he said the craft who were in these craft, he said they could see, the personnel in these craft could see us. I'm sure, he said they could see us quite clearly. And he said the guard that on the base at Woodbridge drove up, I think, beside the perimeter fence at the inside of the end of the runway, looking over, and the guards could see the boys. And he said, we were underage, all under 10 years old. He said, we're no older. And he said, we had no cameras. We had nothing to record any of this. We were just watching. And he said they didn't try to stop the boys. And I think they thought, oh, they'll forget about it. They're young and they're underage. So they left them alone. But they said they watched these craft. He said, no. I said, well, what they look like? He said, they're triangular. And I said, well, what do you see? And he said, well, I draw the pictures what they saw, And Philip was describing to me they had the. Can you see this one here? He had red lights. He said underneath them they had red lights in each corner. They had a blue between that. Yeah. And whether there was a central one, craft or something underneath that, but they could see that coming over them as they were standing watching them.
And there were 6 of them?
There was 6 craft, and the 7 boys could see these, and they would watch them. And so I drawed that and wrote it down, and so I've been drawing these pictures. Now this is where they were on that day, on the 1977 at Woodbridge Base. And this gives the indication of roughly where they were. This is the main road coming through. You've got I think there's a Folly House here. Now you've got the runway lights there, and then the boys were chasing these craft through the trees along here. So they were either coming down the track off the edge of the track, track 10, but they were camping over here somewhere, and they followed these craft through the woods and or where they camping? Yeah, this way they're camping. I think that's they're camping this side. But they were coming through and chasing these craft in the trees. And these craft to keep below treetop level, they were huddling together and keeping in a tight group.
So they were travelling through the forest.
Yeah,
which is pretty damn packed there. So low level.
They were there. They were just keeping out of the view or from. Generally, the military people on the base, they weren't going to be, because these always seem to be hiding from the public or by the military. Because these craft was messing about with experimenters with then, and I think there was something going on. So these guys, these boys, they remembered that. And the other interesting thing about what they remembered, the boys who I said, they could always remember they camped in the forest there. And he said, we always remembered at 11 o'clock at night. I said, what might happen at 11 o'clock at night? He said, Well, the Americans used to play their anthem. Their anthem used to come through on the 10A system. They used to play at 11 o'clock and also 11 o'clock on the morning.
Right.
And the sound of the American theme coming from the bass, that just like, you know, bit of a buck you up, you know.
Yeah.
So that was happening at the time, and I thought it was interesting from these boys also. And I've got all the names of all the 7 boys, first names and second.
And that's all these years later.
All these years later. And they're grown-up men now, but I dare say they all remember.
Well, maybe if they want to give their story, they can contact.
I think this is what I'm saying. Make it more and more and more. This is exciting bit, because people will keep asking me, have you got the names of the boys? Because I just scribbled out, just left the first name. But they're all dying to know, you know, and want to put it in their book. And but I feel some people
the witnesses themselves.
They jump in. The people, because I tried to ring Philip just before you came, and I thought I must try and get hold of it. But it was either engaged, but I'll try again. I know where he used to live, so I can always try when I'm down that way. I'll try and locate him again, because I knew where he was, so I can always inquire if he's still around. And there's several people who have been around and seen a lot more.
Well, it seems that this case is definitely, this whole Rendlesham Forest thing has definitely got a lot more going on.
Oh.
Now you've got a couple of things over there to your left.
Would you want to see this one? This is what I started drawing, because I was so annoyed about the what was going on. I said there was something big went on a big scale. So I started to draw up this idea in my head. I thought, well, there was something going through the trees in a northeasterly direction.
Yeah, that's the trees. That's something hitting the trees.
Yeah, so this is I was drawing, but I think the shape of these craft were more likely a little bit more just discified, more like a discus type craft. But what was flying...
That's because you've looked at the wood and it's definitely big scars of something
and
spiraled.
Also they deliberately had a cutting serrated edge on the craft. You can see around as it spins, it was deliberately made to cut into trees, to actually damage trees, and they had a powerful non-stop motor what was driving these things. How they could just grind and sit on a tree. And have you ever tried to keep a flying disc craft on a tree? Well, these things seem to have this...
Zoom up and down.
They can just hold themselves on a tree and just go up, destroy the whole top of the tree, and go right through it, pressing on it, grinding, knocking branches off. You talk about control. They have got so much control. But the interesting thing about these craft, they don't fly level. The disc ones are slightly angled as they're powering themselves. So they had this type of angle. So there was something about them that were flying with this sort of damage going on, and that was it. I found interesting. But
what's this one then?
That's
the same sort of thing.
This one here, I was trying to describe, because people said, "Oh, that would be where where perhaps a deer or hit or something hit a woodpecker or something." So I had a little drawing. I thought, I'll do a drawing of the findings by Peter George Parish. Trees around Woodbridge Base and Bentwood still standing after the storm of '87. Some have been marked with scrapes and bangs with heavy, sharp objects ground to the top. Done from the tops and the sides of the trees, being heated, as well as sap has bursted out of them, bark in many places. And then I've done a little drawing of the trees with marks that you see.
But you've changed the configuration of the device, have you?
Well, I've used this because I was trying to bring into the Rendlesham UFO, the triangle craft flying and damaging. So I wanted to bring in that, incorporate that as well, because what I was seeing with the Rendlesham UFO, they were damaging trees as well. There was a ray, so I incorporated. Also, I thought I used the Area 1 with all my indications. So I even got a short little thing showing of the Area 1 with the indentations, the grind marks, the measurements. So this can tie with Rendlesham in the landing site there. And then I wanted to bring this into it and just say, well, maybe some had lots of remarks, and a few were lightning, summer, deers with long legs, maybe, storm, yes, a few I've got here, forestry marks, yes, we get some with marks, plane crash, yes. Then I put the 6 or and point across to this.
I mean, when you're saying deers with long legs, you're talking giraffes, really.
Very long legs, yes. And maybe I'm going by all this radiation, and they may have problems with their, down below parts as well. I think.
Okay, so you've got this over there to the left.
Were you talking about this one here?
This BBC thing, and
yes, this one. This is an excellent one because.
What's this about?
The Great Storm '87. And I did a tree survey, and I went round.
When was that published?
This was, can you see your glasses?
BBC,
you'll soon see it.
Yeah, you're in Suffolk. The Truth Is Out There.
Yeah.
And that is 2010.
Yeah, that was the.
All right, so this is you in the picture, and you've got a feature in that.
Yeah, this was me when I lived in Woodbridge, and I got tree samples, the marks on spin marks, grinding in. I actually. I recovered some bits of trees and took samples. I made a hoop which would fit the side of the craft that hit the trees.
Yeah.
I actually took this hoop down to the forest, and me and my friend Ron Bowers, I made some metal extension poles, and I pushed this round hoop up through the trees. I found where they pushed into the trees.
So you did an experiment to see how
I just wanted to see the size they were, and that fitted to this tree, and I was actually seeing where that rubbed on the trees. So these were disc craft that pushed through the trees, and very powerful, but they are spinning anti-clockwise all the time, because you could see the sap on the trees, how they get rubbed. It's been spinning anti-clockwise. You see the thing is spinning, and then the rubbing, and the sap was all rubbed to one side. And the edge of these craft, which is spinning, had a serrated or a deliberate cutting edge. It could keep cutting into trees, or maybe had got something like a tungsten type edging, something they could cut in, keep cutting, like a chainsaw.
I mean, do you think they were, postulating that some kind of weapon system to kill people or what?
I think they could do damage to anything. They could damage anything. They could knock. They were knocking everything about, houses, people's, even that house and roof got knocked in, punched in. This one here was...
Yeah, we've talked about that.
We've done that. So
okay.
they've done that. I mean, that was all happening, and they were deliberately damaged as much tree they can do. And what also they were radiating, this is what I'm saying, I call very dangerous, what they're radiating, the heat bursting out sap out of them. The trees have been killed, a lot of them killed, some survived, some haven't. Pine trees are more resilient than oak trees. Oak trees, they do mark, but the sap, with these craft, the heat that comes through them, the sap on oak trees get vaporized quicker because there's not this sticky old sap, where the pine trees will survive quite a lot of heat and they bubble out.
Well, that's fire. I mean,
they survive quite a lot of heat, but they look sick. They get this peeling of the flaking of the outside of the bark, and they look just like whacked around. They've been heated, but majority of the trees that got killed in the '87 hurricane. I said to Richard Davis, Richard, what about these trees that got killed? I said, with the hurricane. I said, there's a lot more died, but there's no more died. But he said, there was a bug going, it was a beetle going around, killing the trees. But I thought it was strange, there's no more trees died since the hurricane. I said, this is very interesting, because there's trees all over the countryside. You only got to look, you only got to just look for a little while and just start seeing. You go out to Benno, you go out on A12, anywhere you go to trees, there's all these dead trees. Oak tree dead. You can see him. You go to Chantry Park, trees have been hit. You can see where gone through oak trees.
Yeah. Well, we covered that. Okay.
Smashed all that. Right. This is Ron's sighting with Ron.
Who is Ron?
Ron Bowers used to work at the school, Abbey School, with me at the Abbey School.
Okay.
And Ron was talking about his UFO he saw with his daughter this is his drawing, Ron's actual drawing of the craft. I asked him if they could draw a clear one because I don't want to mess it up. But that's what he'd drawn, and he said there was some. He said pretty lights, some going one way and some going the other around this craft. He said that,
and that's the classic UFO.
But this this looks very interesting. I thought, where did this land? Because he said he saw it going come. Because he first reaction.
Okay, date, time, and location.
Here at around the 1980 time, he said that was winter time, and that was
Yeah.
So whether that was the same time, maybe, but there was somebody else also in Woodbridge saw a craft coming down at the same time, Hackney Road somewhere, just a little bit further. But Ron and his daughter, now we're upstairs in the bedroom at Bredfield Street, which is at the bottom, it's in Woodbridge, it's the edge of the Woodbridge School where Ron used to work. And him and his daughter, the school had a property there, and Ron and his daughter, they all lived in this house. And he was upstairs, and he could see from the landing out the back over towards the base at Woodbridge. He said this craft was with pretty lights on. He said it was coming down. He said it was coming down, landing in that direction of Woodbridge base. So where they landed on the base, but he said that was a big thing. And his first
What sort of size are we talking about there?
Well, I mean, this thing here, that's quite a big thing to be. I mean, to see that, he said it landed over that side of the river. To see that size, and he could see the detail, and it was coming down, landing. That must be a big craft, biggish craft. I mean,
talking 100 feet.
That's could be. I mean, it can't. It couldn't. If it landed this side of the river in Woodbridge side, probably more people have seen it. But I think this one, he saw it coming down. Ron and his daughter saw it in the more early hours. He said that was night time, and he said to his daughter, "What are the Americans messing about with now?" That was his first impression, because he said, "Oh, what are they messing about with now?" And this thing came down and landed. Where it landed.
So really,
this was interesting.
This isn't seen really by people as aliens. It's seen by people as some kind of secret space. Nothing about technology.
But this seems a bit more, because of the colours and the prettiness of it. This seemed to me a bit more. This is not a type of craft that wants to sneak and be unseen. Yeah. This is literally want to be seen. This is some sort of I call them goody guys that came here and tried to neutralise. Maybe we're the ones that are neutralising the weapons. Maybe they did come down there. I mean, I hope these people are coming here trying
That's to say that there were weapons there in the first place.
Oh yeah.
I mean, can you trust anything now from these official sources?
There's something going on, because this came down, and that looks like it's like my craft I made. It's something I wanted people to see. I wanted people to see. I think this one here was, also very advanced, because I think it could sort out these Americans.
There's the type of craft which have seamless. There's no join.
That's what I feel.
There's the type of ones which are sort of like nuts and bolts. You can't see the join.
Yeah, I think this is some sort of a more advanced. It's more like a living craft, which is
biology, Well, Peter. We've done a heck of a lot of research. There's a lot of years gone past.
Yeah.
And you've seen and you've looked at this from so many different angles. And you've had your own. You've been out of body. You've been given a second chance at this.
Yep. You're
looking very well. You keep yourself fit.
Yeah, and also I feel since I had this stroke, I come back more less shy. I used to be very shy and worried about being, talked to. But I've got this. I don't know. I feel like a strong energy to carry on and communicate better now. Maybe I'm not as quick as I could, but I get around.
No, you're just doing just fine.
I'm doing all right, and I keep myself fit, and I go to the gym and everything, so I keep myself. But I want to get out to people, and this world now is gone very controlled by the media, maybe the television. I ain't got a television. I got rid of it. I didn't want to hear anything because you don't need to. Because you learn what you want to know. You can see it, but I can see that the information, there's so much there wants to be brought out to the public people, and I think this should be told about it all.
Now, why are you saying that? Because surely we've got an established series of what we call mainstream commentators and observers who are putting a particular, what they're saying, this is what happened at the Rendlesham Forest UFO events, and you've got a different opinion on that.
Yeah, it's gradual. You can see, actually, the more time you have away from and look at everything and turn it over and look at every little detail. This is what I find I've been learning about Rendlesham, and I find the more people I've been bumping into, and the people have been led by, and maybe my misfortune having a stroke, but I had a conversation with a guy opposite me in bed and in Ipswich, and he told me a lot more what was going on. I learned a lot about that, the craft that came down in '77, and there's also all the information came together. I felt there's a lot more to it, and even to today, I mean, it's gradually been coming through a bit more clearer, and the information, the space shuttle, I thought, that's interesting, something going involved with that. That's
clearly a secret space program.
Yeah, there's a program going there. So that was another, I could put things. It's like a jigsaw puzzle, gradually putting the bits in, and as the time has been getting on in life, and you can see the pieces are fitting more together, and you can start this jigsaw puzzle is coming to an interesting climax now, and the interesting thing now is the cover-ups which were put in front, and the determination to try and cover up has failed, I think, because what was they've left is so much you can't hide. You can't sweep all the destruction found on trees and demonstrate. You can't sweep the radiation from the forests. Radiation's on.
Yeah, but on that point, they've opened this place up to holidays and bent waters used for films, making films and movies. They're basically saying, oh, everything's happy here, nothing happening. Yeah. But you're talking that the place is hidden with probably more radiation than Chernobyl.
Well, I think if you go. When I had the interesting thing, when I had the stones dropping down, the stones were these
the reports.
These coming down. They used to.
And I had two myself.
Yeah, but with what I realised, I thought, well, I was walking down the side of the track of the base near where the nuclear testing was, just over the fence, and a stone dropped on the base over the fence, and I said, "Oh, thank you for the stone, but I can't reach it." And I point my torch, just going to say, if you drop one in front of me, before I even said it, before even the thought left my mind, a stone dropped in front of me. And something was picked up on what I was thinking, but also they were saying that way. So when I looked later, I said, why they dropped a stone over there? And when I looked, and you go to Google Map, or you can go, I always like the flight, if I got a flight.
What are you talking about?
Flight radar. You can go onto your app, and you can look down from the sky. You can see the planes flying over, who was coming in. Well, you can zoom in very close with this, and I came down, I come down, and I come down, and I could see Woodbridge Base, and I could see, I can see the round ring where there was nuclear testing in the 50s. I looked at Jim's picture from the forestry, which you've got there, Miles. He can look on there, and that has been the Fido and the base in that was I think September 1945.
What's a Fido?
Fido was the fog dispersal, gasoline sprayed around the edge of the runway, beginning of the runway, dispersed the fog, so the planes could come in from when it's foggy weather, and that's a crash drum. So they had 3 runways, but people would come in there when it's foggy. And this was running, in the wartime. And that time there was no underground nuclear testing. You can see that the site is not been done, not been messed about with. Later, after when the Americans moved in and the 50s, there was underground nuclear tests there.
What sort of tests are you talking about, and what scale?
It was big enough to have a underground explosion which actually radiates the ground and melts the ground on this, and the ground collapses, and there's a big round ring left behind it. It's a massive underground blast. It must have, I don't know how big they would put in there, but it was an underground test which would radiate the ground.
Where did I hear that whatever had landed, there was glass underneath?
Yeah, well, I know where the craft landed at the back gate when the TA Army saw that landed, and he said that we found the landing site. We were turned away. We went over in the evening after the craft had taken off. The guards turned us away from the base, but he said we sneaked back there and looked in the morning early, and he said where this craft had landed, the sand had melted as smooth as the glass. It had gone smooth as glass in the. So there was a lot of heat chucked out by these craft, and I would say it's not very healthy for you to have one of them land nearby you. And the radiation left behind, and the trees were damaged, and all these spots where these craft landed, it's completely radiated. It's still there now. And I was in next to the landing site in Area 1. I went over to on the east side, another one landed. I went to them stakes, and I put the Geiger counter and just took it down and put it in the middle. I was picking up, first of all, I was picking up 5, 6. I left it there clicking away.
That's 5 or 6 microsilvers.
Yeah, and then...
But it says on this diagram here that is dangerous.
Yeah, and then I left it for a little longer. That was going up 7 to 8. 7 to 8. 7 to 8 microsievers there then. Yeah, so I got myself a guided counter to take with me just to, in case, because you don't know what's around now. I mean, I got it on my legs and stuff, and I said, you don't know what they've left behind. And
okay, it says 0.1 microsieverts. This is low. 0.2 is pretty normal, depends on local geology. 0.4 happens occasionally. 0.8, which used to happen around Hounslow, where I used to live, Hounslow Heath.
Mm-hmm.
Alert, no need to panic, but try to figure out what is going on. 1.25 is real risk of cancer if exposed for a year. Yet 4.17, real risk of cancer if exposed for 90 days. And you're talking about that's what's going on around the Woodbridge, Rendlesham Forest area.
Now, wonder why the A-10 pilots, they coming in, they said they picked up radiation when they're coming into the base. You know, they're off Woodbridge, and they said they picked up radiation. Well, if they're flying over, first of all, a nuclear testing zone in the 50s, there's radiation straight away there. And if they picked up radiation...
Yeah, it's a happy, slappy camping site.
Yeah, I mean, it's safe. It's got a fence there, hasn't it? Surely that'll keep out the radiation, won't it? You can walk along there and just wave to the... You can see where the old... where they tested the underground explosion. You can still see the mangled up bits of pipe, but it's all fenced off, so you're not allowed to go in there.
Is that between Woodbridge?
Yeah, it's on the base. It's not far from the, I call it, if you can easily see it opposite, you could say opposite from the East Gate. If you go to the East Gate where everybody stands and look for the UFO that landed there, well, you look straight across, well, this in line would have been where they done the underground testing, the nuclear testing, because it was before the runway starts, but it was on the ground in between... and it's in line with Folly House. Folly House, there was they used to have an underground compressed air tunnel system running from Orford Island. Yeah. And they come round as a loop. They used to come round and they could be pushed around. And they used to bring people, I think, these come in these like shuttle type thing you can lay in them, and they'd be pushed from one through one into the other. uncompressed air. It's air compressed system.
Oh, you sort of lie down like a torpedo?
Yeah, we were putting torpedoes through one and come out, and then come out at the openings on the. You can still see the openings from the air, looking on base. You look down,
Yeah.
you can still see the tunnels where these would pop up, the people pop out and go in. So it's like a shuttle system that go around. And I think there was just two ways, so to speak, in and out. And that's why the inspection covers were quite a few going in down track 10. You'll find all these tunnels. Why they got all these and heavy duty, and they got all these steel tops, and they had the access to climb out.
Yeah.
This wasn't just drainage. This is a bit more. It's more meteor, and I feel this is where they were in the 50s. We're doing the nuclear, now bringing in stuff, and they were loading up this.
These must have been tactical nukes. It couldn't have been very big.
Tactical. It was always underground testing and bringing stuff from Orford Island and detonate the underground explosion there. Because everywhere they're nuclear, you can look on. I looked at some of Australia in the backpacks. Same thing. You'll see the explosion. There's a water. Big reservoir. We have water to quench out after the testing. They'd be pumping water in to fill the hole, to fill the heat, caught the heat, and then they'd try and fill it back in because the soil goes down, drops. You look at the underground explosion. You got to look on YouTube, watch how they blow, and you see them all collapse and go 1, 2, 3, and then blow up, and you see it. Then all of a sudden it just collapses underneath because it shrinks the soil. It all gets. Heated up. So they done a test there in the 50s on Woodbridge Base, and goodness knows how safe it is now. It doesn't go away, does it? It doesn't just vanish.
Well, provided you don't dig it up and disturb it, I suppose. Which you were saying Mason, the dog, did. It seemed to know that.
Well, in Area 1, because I did ask a radio. This goes into radiation. And I think it was somebody asked it. The size, or somebody asked about radiation. Would you pick any radiation up? And he said, "Well, you have to perhaps go take a sample lower down." But he said the radiation get washed in lower, but it's still there.
Yeah,
and
which is what they.
And I think, but. The trees still had it in the radiation where Area 1 was. The tree was all contaminated and had this high radiation in where the landing site of this craft.
What sort of readings were you getting when you did the measurements way back in 2000?
Well, the tree itself was nearly had to need a max on the Geiger counter. It was getting to the top where it was really going right over, and it was cracking away. And Ron, who was filming me, he gets very excited, but I like the way he reacts because, good, look at that, and you can see it going higher and higher, and that was off the scale, And I said, there's a little bit of dangerous stuff going on here still now. Look, and I say, and as Holt was saying, if you have very sensitive stuff, you might pick something up there, but they're looking in the wrong place. But here. Wonder why they don't go back.
Well, I think as Nick Pope said in the same lecture, the readings there were of no significance, just normal background, and then later on in this, he said they were very significant.
There's a lot more. There's more. And what does the other thing?
In the same lecture.
I think the whole thing has been underestimated. The whole thing has been just sort of smeared to one side.
Okay, right. What do you see based on the narrative, the public narrative, and now it's getting dirty? As I say, we're talking
ill health.
People getting. No, I'm talking about the way that anybody who challenges the official narrative is getting. It's getting rude. It's getting nasty.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's when the old saying is when the hits a fan, it starts to get nasty. But you can't get away from radiation. You don't get radiation in your legs or body. You don't get sick dogs and sick people,
sheep and the animals dying.
Yeah, they'll learn that at Needham, because I said they had sheep up there, and I told the man who was they said these sheep are up here now. I said it won't be long before they'll be dying. I said it looks cool having sheep here, but I said they're very susceptible for radiation. And Kemble's had the same problem with Bentwaters. I said they had sheep, They had grazing on there. And they were within, I say, a few months. The whole lot of sheep were taken off, and I've got pictures of the sheep running about over Bentwater's runway, and it looked all cool. Then they had all the bunkers, all these underground hardened bunkers. They started having geese and breeding these geese for either for slaughter
for food.
That,
in other words.
and then that is all packed up now, and that's gone, and been taken away.
Well, it would infer that the Ministry of Agriculture would have records about this, and they should be giving an alert out, surely.
Yeah, I think so.
This.
Yeah, I think you should. There's a lot been going on, and it's the same with, you know, the junk was out at sea. All the stuff that's been in the water. You know, boats are sunk in the water. I mean, you think the amount of pollution.
Yeah.
But the radiation is very important, I think, and the trees that have been damaged all across the country. It's not just the bases.
Yeah.
Bases have been hit.
So, to finalise.
Yeah.
Okay. God bless us all. This is the first time we've been discussing this since 2007.
Yeah.
I think maybe there was one after that.
Should I scare people?
Well, it's best that, as an investigator, if there's a public health thing, I think we should.
I think we should scare people, because it shouldn't be sort of riding around just saying, "Oh, it didn't happen," or "No, it's not happening." I think you only got to see the amount of damage on trees, and everywhere it's been radiated. Radiated is the word. It's something that's been pushing through the trees and radiated, and messing the trees up, and they're still here today.
And they knew this stuff was coming, so they know about it.
Yeah,
it's not as if it's some kind of mystery.
Yeah. No sufficient.
So they're covering up a major public health hazard.
Yeah, and it's taking place on British soil, and people are putting up with their own houses and everything being radiated. Actually, being radiated. They're giving us a dose of radiation, and we have to put up with it now. And who's got the right to do this? Somebody doesn't care about the society?
Well, naturally the Ministry of Defence is here to defend its people, not irradiate them, but that hasn't stopped them, and it hasn't stopped other defence industries from choosing to conveniently ignore things under these classifications, national secrets and all that.
Another thing I always amazed me, I think, you can see everywhere the chemtrailing going on all over the place.
Yeah.
You see them.
Well, that's a different subject.
That's another one.
Do you want to say anything to your fellow researchers, finally?
I say you should open your eyes and look. Go and see. Look, don't take other people's word. Don't say, oh, no, it didn't happen. I say, if you're an investigator, you should go out investigating. That means get your hands dirty, go and have a wander around, have a look at things and start looking at this information. Go and see trees. They're still there. You can still find it.
But I thought you just were told what to say and somebody sent you a memo and you just looked it up on Wikipedia.
Oh, I see. You don't
need to go anywhere because it's obviously true if it's on Wikipedia.
Why couldn't they just tell me this in the first place?
You wouldn't have had to go out there.
But I know, I feel strongly when I started finding it, this has got to come out, and it's on a big scale. You cannot hide it. This is there, and I must say, when I'm not here, that bugger, he was right. You know, he was right. That boy, he was doing all this work. This is what I'm saying. Wake up. People wish they'd wake up. If they don't wake up, you are being controlled. You could be controlled, and you'll be a dumbwit, I should say. You'll just be part of the group that will never understand anything. This is what I'm saying. Go and have a look. Be inquisitive. Start asking questions. You know, am I allowed to live on this planet without all this destruction? Do I have to succumb to all this pollution? Maybe I should just die or give up. You know,
profitably. If you're going to die, make sure it's profitably for the others.
Yeah, I mean, it's money in making money for fuel and oil.
Yeah.
Why can't we just have?
Anyway, that's a different subject.
Let's have free energy and bring out the fresh good stuff.
Briefly, you talked about your magnetic motor.
Yeah. I was shown a lot through the.
Now that motor you've made is very simple. and it's got molybdenum magnets in it. I'm glad I could say it.
In the idea,
But that's a very simple device.
simple, yeah. I wanted to do a ball. I wanted to do the ball encapsulated ball, which I did try with magnets, and I did put it inside another ball, and it started moving about.
But it's obviously a lot more involved there.
There's a lot more involved. You have to contain the whole thing and compress it all in, because if you've got high-powered magnets, I bought a lot of high-powered magnets, and I found you had to really hold this, contain this device, because you're pushing in from all angles, and it has to be squeezed together. Once it gets to this level where you have this energy, it will self-rotate itself. But it's a experimental thing you can try. But I think everybody should be having to go the free energy and bringing out this free energy, because it's there, and it's all right. It's like Tesla.
And that was given to you by these...
Yeah, they were showing me...
After you had your stroke.
Yeah.
While you had your stroke.
Before I had my stroke, I was getting all this information given to me, and afterwards I was sort of still looking back at all this information they give me. And I said, I'm still not going to give up on it, because there's so much there that we should be looking in this direction. Well, and once you start doing this sort of work, or doing a little bit more experimenting, trying it, they seem to like this, and you'll see them just look outside, maybe the craft will be there. They start to like this. They like people to... And
they did respond to your mobile phone.
They come through here. They came through on this phone, and I've got it running now, and that phone, that saved my life, because that's still going. But they talked through on this phone, and it bleeped, and it still worked. But Vicky's tried to put it onto a pin into it and run it.
Yeah.
It will not work, but it still works. The app, the UFO app with Greer.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
that'll work.
That's okay.
And that's still, I feel, other types of connections, because I used to get a lot of I used to reply to these beings. I see them in the sky, and I used to record them. I could see them above me, and always as a humming. Also, I remember as a child, these. I think they were trying to want us to move on into this direction, to bring out this energy.
Now, who's they? Could you start that again?
Well, I was seeing the craft above me, these beings, and they want to help me with the
magnetic motors,
motors, magnetic, and showing different types of directions to go, and how to connect with them. Also, you can travel without a body. This means to say you can you can move from one place to another, and travel, you can travel by thought alone. Thought alone, you can move.
But finally, this is the level that you explained.
Yeah,
this is the Earth in the middle.
I was shown this when I had when I had out a body, and I was shown that the levels that this is what I could see. The level. This is Earth in the middle. The first ring would have been the people who could move in the next, like some of the Buddhas who could see into the next level of the life forms, and higher beings that can get them to the next level. And they were showing the level, and I could see all these segments of people. Everything is in order, though. Everything is shown in order. It was very tidy, but you could see all these levels of beings in that second loop. And there was quite a few a little bit more advanced beings, and then they got bigger, and each ring was another level of where and level they're at. And I was seeing the levels of the Andromeda Galaxy. The Andromeda Galaxy beings were up level 14, 15, that sort of up that way, up the top, and. So they can be so advanced. That's why they can transform from one ball of light to a craft within seconds. They can manipulate and go.
And how maybe they've got their and maybe how you've got their phone. They've got your phone number.
But they just seem to use any device to communicate through, because they're showing me past, present, and future. And what they're saying that they can move through past and present and future. And when you see the craft, they're in the present time scale of us, but they just got to move from one way or the other, and they look like they're just appearing, but they're just going into
This phase out.
Is phase out, but they're still in the area. But just that little time was just out of view. But they can move backwards and forwards in time, and they can.
Yeah. Well, we sort of.
That's why.
Well, Peter, it's been great to see you again.
Yeah.
There's a heck of a lot there. We'll put some of your photos over.
Yeah, it'd be great to see you make use of some of this information, because
it's a great and privileged that you've given this out like that.
You're welcome, Miles. I mean, you've been a great researcher, and I say what I like about you, you've got a good way of communicating with when you video and people, and give people time to talk and find you had the questions right to answer people, and I really enjoy myself to be here and help you as much as I can.
Thank you for inviting me up.
And I say to everybody listening here, I say go and check everything out and go and see, and wake up to your own and do what your own mind tells you to do. Don't take other people's facts or something. Go and have a look, and you'll find answers. And if you're keen or you want something, they'll help you. They'll help you. These beings even help you to understand, and they give you little clues. Little clues. The more you do something, if you're making some new device, something for the future, they love to help.
You'll get hints.
Oh, they'll be
Look
there.
for the signs.
And you have a fantastic world. You can feel that way. It feels more exciting. I like it. Exciting. It's
good.
And don't worry, when you leave your body, you haven't got nothing to worry about anybody, okay? You'll be okay. You'll be okay once you left body. I've had experiences. It's lovely up there. There's nowhere, and you can go anywhere. You can travel. Okay.
Thank you.
See you later, Miles, and you take care.
Take care. What's that?
That was a showing of a device to generate electricity, and I was going to make a ball with magnets. I did start making the ball and put magnets around it, and I was going to actuate it into another two halves that clamps on the ball, so there's magnets on the inside of the inner casing, so the ball is hovering inside this, so that suspend is rotating, and the magnets would generate its own force field inside, and then they could start generating electricity. And I thought, if I experiment more of all round, I could then turn into a generating plant. That's what has been shown. Something else happened that time. Then I think you'll find.
A year after the craft, you built your craft as 2012. A year early.
Yeah, so I started celebrating with that. The other thing I had happened was I was getting a lot of contact. This is some silver discs that turned up in the sky over. They came in, and this is the order they come in colours. They were showing themselves.
That's on the day it happened. That's
no, that was just before all this happened. But this is.
But we're talking 2013 September.
Yeah. And then you're coming over, and I was working on the school grounds. This is a cricket square. I always used to have dew in the morning on the square to clear the dew off. So I had a rope all the way around this cricket square. What I used to do was take a rope. I had these 4 plastic pipes with a rope around them, and I used to pull the pipe off the stake, stakes. Yeah. And then I'd gather the rope up and just bring off one corner of the cricket square. This would all drag together and take the dew off. Well, I started doing this, so I then pulled the ropes and everything off to one corner, and that left this shape in the corner. Well, I didn't think more of it, and then the next few days there was I was seeing this start appearing in the sky, this like, what is this? Oh no, that was appearing, drawn in the sky.
So something took that as a sign to somebody who was
but they're
watching.
showing it because what we are seeing, and then this was shown in the sky just before I had my stroke coming up this way, and this was shown the actual shape of it, because I could see them, the dew left this round shape, and they must have saw this from above, and they just draw this somehow in the sky. And then this is what I had drawn above me with my spectacles, my glasses. Where have I got them now? The old glasses. Yeah, these were. I had the old glasses to and these are made in Specsavers. And these glasses, these are my glasses I wore in Specsavers. Before I even bought them, they draw this in the sky saying PS. So I was saying, is it spectacles or is it Specsavers? But that was drawn at the Abbey in the sky, just in the blue, sky. And I thought, well, how they can draw these things and write? And I said, that's my glasses I looked at. They ordered them to be, and they're here, and they still work. They're still my best glasses anyway. Another pair broke, which I got cheap ones, but these ones work. So, and also I got that time there's I had this thing come through. It said you have a third eye, and it was saying you've got a third eye you can see things with. Then the next day, this is when I was in my bed at Turner Road where we used to live. I had a lot of interesting things. There's one bit where I think I was flying at 5 a.m. in the morning, and then I saw E.T. standing looking at me in my bedroom, just not in the doorway, and you can see the height of who he was. There's a door switch, a standard height of a door, a switch, and he was just standing looking at me, and I saw him looking at me, and I thought, oh, the crafter's here. So I turned and pulled the curtain. I sat up in my bed, looked outside. I could see a few stars and everything, but there was no craft. And I thought, oh, I said, what am I? And I looked back to see where the chap was, and he'd gone. And I thought, well, what was he trying to say? There was something there. So that happened that day. Then later on, this I could see this in the sky. This was like a shape, the craft thing, like this type of craft was in the sky, just showing this shape. And then below that was like a being or something just standing below themselves. And that showed up. And then I had, before I had my glasses done, I had an eye test, and I was getting a prism across my eye. One eye I was seeing, I had something. I was seeing a prism in my eye, one side, something affecting my eye, and this is when I had the eye test. I thought maybe the eye test dampened my eye by looking into the eye viewer in the Specsavers, but maybe this was maybe it was the start of when we had the stroke coming on. Maybe that was an indication that something was happening going on there. And then I had the Specsavers, the glasses I picked up, and then it was getting to stage. I was getting very close because I remember we were doing these stakes and everything in the ground. And then I think this...
But your writing's changed there.
It starts doing it, and this is me flying my helicopter, which is up there. That's the last time I was flying that evening. Okay. And I think I was flying...
Just that up there.
Yeah, here we are. This is where it happens. I was on that day. I saw my mum midday. I saw a lot. I had a lot of information shown me. You can see I wrote about what I was seeing and the craft in the sky, and then midday I saw my mum. Then when I was leaving off, boom, I had a stroke. And on that day, that was on the Wednesday, October the 28th. So, no, hang on, where are we?
29th of September.
Yeah, we're on the
October.
October. It was the Wednesday. I remember it was a Wednesday, the 30th of October.
And is that your writing there?
That's my writing after this all happened. Once I got to, I put I try to fill in where it happened to us afterwards. I can remember, and I was seeing. Yeah, that's when I started. That's when I had my stroke. So from that time, I had I was. What's strange happened there though, because I was the only person on the ground. The caretaker had even gone away. He was nobody there. The school had broken up. No one on the ground, just me. And I was just going home to get in the car to go home to Skype with Vicky, because Vicky was in Hungary, and. I nearly got to the car and I felt myself going. It was like it's something. Half of me was starting to go. I felt really weird and, whoa, this is weird. And I just managed to get in the car and slam the door shut. That is all I wanted to do. I had saved myself because it was only 4 degrees above freezing, and I think if I'd have fell out on the ground, I would have surely have died. They wouldn't have got to me in time. And I had out of body experience. When I was out of body, I was shown so much. It was so happy. It was amazing stuff. You ain't got to worry when you pass on. You haven't got to worry about it because you're not in a body at all. In no body at all. You're just like an orb. You're observing everything, and you're floating around. And I was going around, being shown all directions. I was shown the way they travel through time, past, present, and future. How they can appear and what they do, past and present. It said the present is always when you see them, because that's when you're visible. But they can just slightly waver out of that and then they just appear. But you think they're gone, but they're just in another time, just slightly waver off the line. This is how they can move through time, forward and back and past and future. They go backwards and forwards. And this is how they can travel. And also they can travel in ways we don't understand, but we can travel. When I say travel backwards, but you can travel whichever way you want. And also the dimension they can travel through. And I think they have ways that they can travel. Because I saw them writing readings.
Well, we'll leave that